Hello, I'm Rob Thompson, Director of Communications at the Children's Aid Society of Toronto. During the month of October, Toronto's 4 child welfare agencies, the Native Child and Family Services, the Catholic Children's Aid Society of Toronto, the Jewish Family and Child Agency, and our agency, collaborate to promote Child Abuse Prevention Month. Each year in Toronto, the 4 agencies collectively investigate over 12,000 inquiries related to child welfare. Keeping our city's children and youth safe is a huge responsibility. We cannot do it alone. We need the community. We need your help. This year, to kick off the month-long campaign, we have selected a few of the most commonly asked questions we receive about the work that Children's Aid Societies do and keeping children safe. We have invited a representative from each of the 4 agencies in the city to be here with us today, and will pose one of the most commonly asked questions to each of them. Our goal is to help the public understand just a little bit better the role and value that Children's Aid Societies play in our community, and to remind you that we all have a duty to report child abuse and neglect. Our 4 guests today are Marie Norton, Supervisor, Resources and Adoption and Permanency Planning at Native Child and Family Services. Dawn Mohammed, Children's Service Worker with the Children's Aid Society of Toronto. Erin Badgley, Child Protection Supervisor at the Catholic Children's Aid Society of Toronto. And Talia Breslin, Director of Client Services at Jewish Family and Child. Welcome to all of you. Our first question. Marie, when should someone call a Children's Aid Society in Toronto?
I want to begin by correcting one of the biggest misperceptions about some of the work we do at the CASs. Many people think our primary role is to remove children from families, but this is not true. We believe families are strength-based, and we want to work with families to make sure that they keep children safe.
What if I'm not sure if I need to make that phone call?
You don't have to be sure. It's the job of trained professionals at CASs to receive and assess the information you provide to us. If you feel a child is being abused or neglected or at risk of maltreatment, you should call your local CAS, or you can contact your local police department. If the situation is of emergency, you can dial 911.
Okay, our second question to Dawn Mohammed. When a Children's Aid Society in Toronto receives a call from the public, how is it decided what course of action will be taken?
Well, all of the Children's Aid Societies in Ontario operate under the Child and Family Services Act. This act defines the responsibility of the Children's Aid Societies. It states that we have a legal responsibility to ensure that children and youth between the ages of 0 to 16 are safe from abuse and neglect. The Child and Family Services Act also recognizes that everyone within society has a legal duty to report any suspicion that a child or youth may be at risk of being abused or neglected, and they should report that to the local agency. Protecting children and youth from abuse and neglect is an important job, and we cannot do it without people like you. We need people to call us whenever they have concerns about a child or youth or a family.
How is it decided what happens with the information provided to the Children's Aid Society?
Well, once we get a call from the public, the information is assessed to determine how best to help. We may go out and visit the home immediately, or we may go see the child at their school or the daycare. It is important to note that each situation is unique, and our trained staff assesses each case to determine the best way to work with the family to ensure the safety of the child.
Thank you, Dawn, for that answer. Our next question is for Erin. Erin, if I know that a call has been placed to the Children's Aid Society regarding a child, but I still see things going on with that child that concern me, what should I do?
Even if you know for sure that a call has been made to a Children's Aid Society about a family or a child, it's still everyone's duty to call the CAS if there's new information of a child at risk or in danger. The call should be made by the person who has the information. You have the first-hand knowledge. By calling the Children's Aid Society, that information is given to the worker to ensure the child's safety.
This is a very common question regarding someone calling in. When a call is placed to a Children's Aid Society, do I have to leave my name?
That's a very common question. Your call can be anonymous. However, I want to reassure you that the information that's called to a CAS is kept confidential. Now, there are rare circumstances where a judge may order information to be shared during a trial, a family court judge, that is. However, those situations are rare, and in such situations, we would do everything we could to keep the names anonymous.
Thank you, Aaron, for that answer. Our final question is for Talia. I've made the call to the Children's Aid Society. What happens next?
As somebody who works at a Children's Aid Society, we know how difficult it can be for a person to make that call to a CAS. It's important to know that we have trained staff who are there on the other end of the line to support you through that call and to ask you the kinds of questions that we need to know in order to best support a family and to determine the best way for Children's Aid to respond. There are different levels of responses that a Children's Aid may need to engage in. It can range from connecting a family to supports in the community or to determining that a family may need ongoing support from a Children's Aid Society.
Does ongoing support mean that a child needs to be removed from their family?
Absolutely not. As Maria had indicated before when she spoke, we know that children do best with their families. The best place for a child is always in his or her own home. The goal of our workers is to support families, connect them with resources and parenting supports or whatever help they might need while a child remains in their home with their parents. What's important to know, though, is that there are situations where a child might be at an immediate harm's way. And in those situations, the child might need to leave the home temporarily. What we do in those situations is we always look to a family's extended family and community support, so friendship circles, or schools even, to look to see if there's a way that we can keep a child in that community or in that extended family network temporarily while the parents get help. The most important thing to remember when calling a Children's Aid Society is that we all try to support and help families and children. We need you to do that. We can't do it without you.
Thank you very much, Talia. And thank you to all of you. You've all provided some excellent and very clear information. Remember, October is Child Abuse Prevention Month, but vulnerable children need and depend on all of us throughout the entire year. If you have concerns that a child may be or is in danger of being abused or neglected, please contact your local Children's Aid Society.